Max Holloway. Jesus Christ. Calvin Kattar, Max Holloway. Yeah, Max Holloway just put on an absolute clinic. We knew he was a good striker. He switches things up. He switches stance. He has excellent punch variation. He goes to the body, he goes to the head. He throws in the kicks. He uses a lot of side kicks to the thigh. He keeps you at range. The thing that Max does best, he controls the range. He controls the range so much, and he keeps you guessing with punches. He doesn't get predictable. The thing is, when you looked at Calvin Kattar, for the most part, it was single shots. You know, there might have been a couple of together here and there, a right hand or a left hook. It was either one punch or a two-punch combination. Max Holloway did a really good job of getting in the pocket, landing the shots, gliding just out the way of the one counter that Calvin would throw. Then he would go back in. He would switch to another side. He was constantly moving in and out, left and right. Very, very hard to predict. And if you can't predict what they're doing, you know, you can't counter it. You can't get a read on them. You can't get a rhythm. And Max, as he got going, as he got into the zone, he just fucking kept going. He was having a good time. He was having fun, and then started piecing these combinations together. They were absolutely fucking beautiful. And
I got tired just watching it. I mean, the amount of volume that Max Holloway was throwing, he shattered the record, his own record, for the amount of significant strikes landed, amount of significant strikes attempted.
Well, listen to this. I wanted to read these out because this is super fucking impressive. Let me put this way so I can see better. But Saturday night, this is what he did versus Calvin Kattar. Significant strikes landed record. Okay. Right. He landed 445. Previously, it was 290.
That's
right?
crazy.
445 times. Getting punched in the head one time isn't good. 445, that's a lot.
What's your record? What's your most significant strikes landed in a fight?
I don't know, but I know that my total... Yeah, I was the leader at one point, but now, you know, that was a while ago. But I know it's like 1,500 and something. Max Holloway is like 1,000 ahead. Listen to this. So that there's significant strikes as well, 445. Significant strike attempts, 744. Previously, it was 515. He smashed the distance strikes landed, which was 439. Previously, it was 281. And there you see, look at this. These dots. These are the average, we're seeing a graph here for the audio listeners. Down in the corner of the graph, you got what looks to be like somebody's ejaculated into the graph, okay? But then far off way from the body of the sperm, way out here, and like, I'm going to say Pluto, if it was the solar system, there's a little lone mark. That's Max Holloway. Anyway, significant strikes head landed 274. Previously, it was 244. Significant body strikes, 117, new record. Previously, 92. Significant strikes landed in a round, 141. Previously, it was 134. Significant strikes landed, 447. The best previously was 361. And then lastly, total strikes attempted, 746. And the previous record was 541. So he's out there.
Little fact here, your record is 119 against Dan Henderson in your second fight.
119. Okay, yeah. So he's fucking way ahead. What did I just say there?
4 times many strikes.
I mean, strikes attempted 746. So just a shadow box, 746 strikes is exhausting.
What is like? What is a professional boxing like? What does that look like? I mean, how many Harrington you can pull that up? Because I would be surprised that it was crazy watching Max just let go, and it wasn't like he was just like swinging for the fences, like just like chaotic. It was really deliberate. It was unique strikes. He was just, every time there was an exchange, he was mixing it up and doing something different. Calvin Kattar didn't have an opportunity to really react to what he was doing. And it wasn't even so much that Calvin wasn't throwing more than 1 or 2 shots. It was that Max came in, was throwing 7, 8, 10, 12 shots in a combo, then getting out before Max could even register what was going on. It was, I mean, by far the best performance we've seen from Max Holloway. Now, I don't know, I'm not enough of an analyst to know how much of a differentiation there is between the guys who have beaten Max and Calvin Kattar. So I know Max lost to Connor, obviously. He lost to Dustin. Who else was it?
Yeah.
Volkanovski.
Yeah. But let's just keep it on how good he was. Let's not start talking about the opponents that had beaten him because, what happened Saturday night, he was in the zone. Simple as that. So when you start a fight, and I've had this sparring, I haven't had it so much in a fight, maybe the Kung Lee fight, you start feeling good, you get the timing, and then you just get in the zone and you're pimping your opponent and you feel good. You've got the speed, you've got the reach, you've got the technique advantage, and you feel good and you feel fucking invincible. And I've been there before at times, and you could see that's what he was doing. He was having fun. And he wasn't putting everything into every strike. Like what I said before about Joaquin Buckley. He said, I'm going to try and deliver another knockout of the year. That's not what you want to do. And when you're just throwing those little strikes, and when I say little strikes, I don't mean pathetic strikes, but you're not loading up. You're not trying to look for the knockout in every shot. And technically, that's not what you're supposed to do. I've been taking Callum on the pads and I'm trying to get it through to him because he's trying to put power into every single shot. That's not what you want to do because you climb up, you go tight, and then you go slow. What's up, Brian? I saw you there for a second. Everything good, buddy?
Yeah, just to give you an example, the average number of punches thrown in a boxing match between both boxers is 780.
Wow.
And that's 2 boxers.
Yeah, in 12 rounds.
That's fucking crazy.
In 12 rounds. Jesus Christ. Yeah. I mean, that is insane. That just shows you what we're working here with Max. He's special. But as I said, when you take out the tenseness and you take out the fact that you're putting everything to every shot, you don't get tired. You know what I mean? You're just fucking pimping, jucking and jiving, bobbing and weaving, slipping and bobbing, whatever you want to call it, all over the place. He's having fun. He's picking them apart. And then the whole way, what's happening, the balance shift, the control is all shifting over to Max Holloway. Kattar's getting busted up, right? He knows that. He's getting pimped. He's getting fucking used like a human punch bag, right? So that fucks with your emotions. Now he's getting mad. Now he's getting angry. Now he's loading up with every single shot, which he did manage to land on a few occasions. That's what made it a great fight as well, because as the fight progressed, Kattar was, he did land a few solid right hands that definitely got Max's attention. I think it was round 4. There was one shot where Max kind of backed up for a little bit and then Kattar kind of went forward. He
countered a few times. It was really effective. But I mean, look, Max is so fucking tough and, he's a former champion. There was no moments where Calvin looked like he was gonna come back. I mean, even with those shots that landed, it was like, okay, Max sort of ate him and kept going. That style, it's nobody else really has that style. It's sort of like, it was more of an explosive version of sort of what Nate and Nick Diaz do, which is just sort of volume pitter patter. They keep on coming forward. And then next thing you know, this guy's bleeding out of every orifice. But it was, I think Max made a massive statement in this fight and made a real case for a rematch against Volkanovski. Not for nothing. I mean, he looks so good that it's like, how do you not say that he's at least the second best guy in the division?
Well, Volkanovski came out and he was tweeted about it. So you can see that he eats away at him, that a lot of people thought that Max won. And I was talking about this on the last show. Max said he said 80% of the world think I won that fight anyway, so nothing's fucking changed. I still carry myself as the champion. And that's what he did Saturday night. He fought like a fucking champion. He went 5 rounds and he looked the best ever. Volkanovski, as I say, you can see he eats away at him because he went to Twitter and he said, and he showed the stats of Holloway versus Kattar on Saturday night, and then the stats versus Holloway versus himself versus Volkanovski. And of course, the numbers weren't the same. He's like, he ain't pulling those numbers against me. And I get it. He's talking a little bit of shit. But all he's doing there really is setting up the rematch. And I think Dana even said Saturday night, he said, after that fight, we got to see Holloway versus Volkanovski again. Of course, Volkanovski got to get through Brian Ortega first. But well done, Max Holloway. Just absolutely sensational. Lewis, you were going to say
Well, I was going to say, if you're Volkanovski, don't you sort of want that fight anyway? Don't you want to shut up the haters? Don't you want to stop people from saying, oh, you lost that fight? If I'm Volkanovski, I'm like, fuck it, let's run it back. Let's do it a third time. I'll beat you a third time, motherfucker.
No, absolutely. And if you beat him a third time, regardless of if it's close or not, if you beat somebody 3 times and it's in a row, it's like, listen, we're done here. The chapter is closed, regardless of any controversy or whatever. 3 times now. 3 times I've beaten you. So, please, let's close the book on this. Close this chapter.
Real quick, back to the Max fight just for a second, though. The coolest moment of the fight was 5th round. Max was in his zone. He knew that there's no way. Calvin had nothing for him. He was like, I'm just working him in every angle. I'm coming in. I'm landing strikes at will at this point. At this point, he starts doing this like crazy Muhammad Ali slipping. He starts talking to the commentators. And there was one little segment where he like slipped, said something to the commentator, slipped again, slipped under, ducked under. It was really cool.
Yeah, no. It really was. It was awesome. That's what I mean. When you're in the zone like that, he can read his opponent. When you get like that, I mean, this is a terrible example, but have you ever played, we used to do it playing FIFA, right? You know, you're having your tournaments playing FIFA. Let's say you're in a video game. Once you start losing more, the pressure comes on. You're getting mad, you're getting flustered, and you start playing shitter. You know what I'm saying? Same thing happens in a fight. You know what I mean? The Calvin Kattar is getting his ass kicked. He feels that. He feels that the fight is pulling ahead for Max. Max is getting way ahead on the scorecards, as well as Kattar's getting bust up to the max. He's having problems landing punches. Every time he throws, it's like he's throwing through quicksand. Max Holloway's moving out the way. Do you know what I mean? It almost becomes pointless. So therefore, Kattar gets even more angry, gets more stressed, and that plays against him. You don't want that. You want to be the opposite. You want to be like Max Holloway there. Cool, calm, collected in the moment, so free that he's talking to the commentators. He turned and he said, I'm the best boxer in the UFC, which is fucking great. I mean, it really was very, very cool. And it shows his supreme confidence in the moment. Here, take a listen.
He's even listening to the commentary team. The best boxer UFC, baby.
Look, slipping, not even looking at him.
Yeah, no, slick as hell. As hell. You know, I saw some people online.
Looked at the commentary team and said, I'm the best boxer in the UFC. Slipping punches. I have never seen anything like this in my life, bro.
You see the way he's using that lead hand to control him all the time. Pumping that jab out all the time. Always got something there, always something to threaten Kattar with, you know, and then he steps off on the angle. He utilizes great head movement and he doesn't load up. When you don't load up, the speed's there. And when people try and find the power, that's when it all goes out the window. When they're trying to look for the knockout, they're trying to hurt their opponent. Yeah, okay, maybe you will land it. Maybe you land that big shot and it looks great. But more often than not, the punches that you're not trying to knock people out with, they're the ones you land, that's for sure, and you land it way more frequently. But still, yeah, well done, Max Holloway.
I guess Kattar said something like he's the senior in boxing and Max is the freshman. So Max obviously wanted to prove a point. You know, he wanted to come out, and he did. He really proved it. You know, once again, I want to see Max against Volkanovski. I'd love to see Max. Honestly, he looked so good that I'd love to see him move up to 155 and to try to avenge one of those losses against either Poirier or Conor as well. That would be something really, really cool. So obviously I think 145 should be first on his to-do list. But Max with this, and let me ask you, do you think that Max has jumped up a level? Is this what's going on?
Well, he's still maturing as well. I mean, he's still a young man. I'm not sure exactly how old he is. Maybe Harry can look. They're probably only like 28,
29.
Like that. 29 years old. So he's only still coming into his prime. And in terms of athletic ability, yeah, he's probably in his prime. But in terms of this, in terms of the mind, in terms of experience, in terms of putting it all together and knowing what works for him, you know, he was a big advocate for not sparring. And I fucking massively agree. It's almost archaic and old-fashioned now to be sparring so much. I know I sparred a lot in my career, and if I could do it all over again, I wouldn't.
You would cut it out completely.
Pardon me?
You'd cut it out completely.
I wouldn't cut it out completely, but I used to spar 3 times a week hard. And I mean fucking hard. We'd have the little gloves on and we'd go to war. Now, of course, you have to fight. Sorry, pardon me. You have to spar the way that you're going to fight. And what I mean by that, you have to exert yourself. You have to be tired. Otherwise, on the night, you are going to encounter problems. But Max Holloway says that he eradicated all sparring and just a lot of cardio work. I like to spar because you get the timing, you know, and nothing makes you feel like that feeling after doing 5 rounds with multiple partners, absolutely fucking exhausted, where you're let on the floor, you can't breathe. There's not many things that replicate that. High interval intensity training, that does it, you know, sprints does it, you know, but still I want to feel that, and I want to be tired like that while still trying to put together the combination. So I fully agree with what Max is saying, but I still feel that sparring does have a place.
Yeah, for sure. And look, I'm not a martial artist by any degree, but the most that I've ever learned in fighting and training is by sparring. Obviously you drill, and then you apply those little things during sparring, you go, oh shit, that worked. I drilling that for as long as I drilled it, and now applying it in the actual fight scenario makes a huge difference. Also, in terms of preparing, cardio wise, you're emulating the fight, especially if you're going hard. Whereas you could run all day long, you could drill all day long. I think that you sort of need to have that little bit of danger, that tension, your body bracing for those shots. There's a reason I'm assuming 99% of fighters do spar. So I just don't know how you would. Go ahead, please.
I was just going to say, but it's not only that though as well. It's protecting your brain. When you fight, twice a year, 3 times a year. Okay, Kevin Holland just had 5 fights. People have done that before, but generally, 2 or 3 fights a year. That's average, and you got to take damage on those nights. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. Maybe you're Kamza and you knock him out in 17 seconds. Maybe you Calvin Kattar and you're in the hospital with staples and a broken nose, and you just got fucking teed off on God knows how many times. 17,942. Okay,
4 million times.
Yeah, a lot. But the sparring is all the time. It's every week, and a lot of the time it's year round. Most of the time, a lot of these guys, they take a couple of weeks off, then they're back in the gym unless they get injured, and you're sparring all the time. So that's gonna, it's gonna have an accumulative effect on your brain as you're getting older. So it is way, way safer. And I do like to see people sparring less, but you got to do it. You got to do a little bit here and there. I'm not saying you have to kill yourself in the gym. I remember I was sparring for Mark Munoz with my old sparring partner, Moses Morietta. We'd always spar too hard. We had, I started working with Eric Paulson. He's a legendary coach around these parts. Eric Paulson came down to watch the sparring. He was like, you guys are going too hard. You guys are going too hard. And we're like, that's how we fucking do it. We're badasses. At the end of it, Moses had a broken hand and I had a detached retina. So yeah, we were sparring too fucking hard. It's stupid. It's very, very stupid. It's detrimental.
But I think you obviously, if you're at the highest level, you want to, we talked about this almost, I think 2 shows ago, but it takes like confidence to sort of take off and to take a day off. Right. I think that it comes from just like, you want to win. You want to go as hard as possible at all times because you don't want to leave anything on the table. And I think fighters probably equate pushing themselves that hard in both training and sparring to putting in the actual work. They go like, that's doing the actual work versus the fight, which is, I've heard fighters describe it as the fight is fun. The fight is like the recess where the rest of, the training camp is sort of being in class. But I think it takes a certain level of maturity to sort of pull back and go, well, that's not necessarily what's going to be right for the longevity of my career.
Yeah, that's when you're overtraining. So regardless whether it's sparring, jiu-jitsu, or just fucking walking the dog, you want to take those days off, But it's working out for Max Holloway anyway. Definitely working out. He said that he did his fucking classes over Zoom. I don't know about that. I don't know if I want to do that. But still, Max Holloway, very, very good. Stepping in next week, that ain't going to happen. Conor doesn't pull out. Poirier, I can't imagine there's any excuse Poirier is going to pull out of this fight. Absolutely massive at the weekend. But still, it's a nice little soundbite for him to say. I would have liked to have seen Max stick on the mic a little bit longer. It's cool. He probably thought in his head, I'm going to say this. I'll fill in next week. Motherfuckers, I'm out, baby. Boom. It was good. It was catchy, but I would have liked to, see whoever it was. Who was it? John Anik? Who did the interview Saturday? Why am I going blank? Was it John Anik? Or was it DC? Probably John Anik.
Yeah.
Yeah, John Anik. Anyway, regardless.